Yeah, it's really expensive to have oceanfront or water view homes because it's really high in demand. But we have access to the ocean, right? I live about a 5-minute walk to the beach. I don't like people to pigeonhole themselves into that because you still have all the other great amenities of Qualicum and still have the beach lifestyle.
Welcome to Money Talks Life Listens. I'm your co-host, Joanne Cabot, and I'm joined today by my fabulous co-host, Melissa McGuire.
Hello. Today, our episode is all about real estate in the Oceanside community. So we're going to chat with Melissa Tracey about the nitty-gritty, what it really looks like to buy a home in the Oceanside community, whether you're moving with your family, you're downsizing, you want an ocean view or not ocean view. We might even talk about water levels in Qualicum, those sorts of things. All the stuff that you might not consider from the practical and even emotional side of buying and selling a home.
Yeah, and I feel like Melissa does a really good job of really guiding clients through the whole process because buying and selling a house, as we both know, can be quite the experience, especially when you don't know what to do, right? And she does a really great job of guiding clients with checklists and really being able to tell them what are the right areas based on what they're looking for, right? Which is what we would want from any realtor that we work with. So I'm pretty excited to get to have this conversation and for our listeners to hear it because it can help encourage those who are a little bit hesitant to reaching out to a realtor, maybe feel a little bit more confident about doing so and knowing what questions to ask.
So we're here today with Melissa Tracey, realtor from Royal LePage here in the Oceanside community. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
We have a bit of a bio, so we're just going to read it out here so the community gets to know a little bit more about you. Melissa is a realtor with Royal LePage, Parksville, Qualicum Beach, and she's been helping people buy, sell, and build homes in the Oceanside community for more than a decade. She's also on the organizing committee of 100 Women Who Care and the vice chair of the Qualicum Beach Chamber. She's proud to be part of the Oceanside community, and nothing makes her happier than helping people through what can feel like a super stressful time and making the process easier for them. We really appreciate you joining us here today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I'm looking forward to this.
Oh, it's going to be fun. We have loads of questions for you.
All right.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm curious, how did you get into real estate in the first place and what drew you to opening up your practice in the Oceanside community?
It's really interesting, actually. I come from like a long line of realtors. My dad's a realtor, my stepdad's a realtor, my aunties are realtors, my cousins are realtors.
Oh, wow.
Our whole family are realtors, mostly in the North Shore and in Vancouver. About 12 years ago, after I had my daughter, I was working for the BC Lottery Corporation, and I realized that I didn't want to be driving to Duncan every day with my daughter being here in Qualicum. So I left that job, and at the time, our family was developing a piece of property here in Parksville. And so I had the opportunity to manage that and get it to sort of the end lot of subdivision. And at that time, there was really no market for bare land lots here in Parksville. So I thought, why don't I get my builder's license and my real estate license and start building homes? And I was very lucky to be partnered up with one of the greatest builders here in the area, Mike Kazenbrut, and he opened me up to learning about building and also gave me access to his incredible trades. And so for the last 12 years, I've been building homes and also selling real estate. And I realized in that process, really where I was the most effective was helping people in the process of buying and selling homes. That's really where my personality and my drive is suited to. So that's the direction that I've had in the last 3 years. It's been my main and only focus.
Well, I was going to say the realtor DNA is very strong in your family lineage.
Yes, it's very strong. Yeah, we've been making real estate jokes for a long time. Yeah. Do you want the fridge to come with the house? You know, those kind of stupid jokes.
So for people who haven't visited like this area, the Qualicum Beach, Parksville area, what makes it so special, do you think, in your experience, and especially for retirees?
I mean, Qualicum Beach is my home. Even though I grew up in Vancouver, we would spend our summers here. The beach is really magical, first of all. The people here are incredible. The community itself and the things that we stand for are also really, really special. You also have excellent access to hiking trails. You can be up at Mount Washington. If you need a bit of a city fix, you can go down to Victoria. But it still has that small town charm that people really miss from growing up.
And it's really like, when you talk about just needing a city fix or doing whatever, even as we see sort of the transportation to the mainland start to boom in Nanaimo, it's so close to just like get on a ferry and hop over, or take a 20-minute flight and hop over somewhere. Like it's even though it's sort of on the more central top end of the island, it's so easy to get everywhere now.
Yeah, my partner and I 3 weeks ago went to the comedy festival in Stanley Park.
Oh my goodness.
And we only decided to do it the night before. And you didn't used to be able to do that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's also a huge draw.
We might be covering some of this right now, but why do you think so many families and retirees are choosing Oceanside over some of those bigger cities like Victoria or Vancouver?
It's twofold. One, it's unaffordable to live in Vancouver and Victoria. Not unaffordable, but it's not affordable to
Right,
live
it's
in
not
those
as cost,
cities.
yeah.
And people really have a desire to, when it comes to families, to raise their kids similar to how they were raised. Bigger lots, bigger houses, more of a community. Kids can ride their bikes, those sort of things that you can't really do as much as in the city. And when it comes to retirees, they're looking for a lifestyle, right? They've lived in the cities. They've done those things. They want to relax. They want to golf. They want to hike. They want to bike. And this is really the perfect place for that to happen.
I think I heard a fact, and it actually might be our producer Clinton who told me this. I'm going to look at him right now, but I think Qualicum has the most golf courses per area. Am I getting that right?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
there's so many more than I thought.
Clinton's going to fact check this for us. We're going to put it on the screen. Okay, he's shaking his head.
You
No.
say no.
Okay, well, someone told me this about we have a lot of golf courses.
Yeah, so there's a lot of golf courses.
Yeah.
So if you like to golf, this is a great place to be. But
Perfect.
you don't have to golf. You can also be a beach walker, or you can be a volunteer who likes to get involved in community. There's just so much opportunity for you here.
So that's one thing actually that I've really noticed about this community is the amount of community helpers that are
Yes.
here.
Yes.
Like it's you said it earlier, sort of the people sort of get together, everything is sort of very important, and people here work hard to make sure that they're making a difference somewhere. Everybody that I know in this community is somehow involved in helping the community be better. I think it's pretty spectacular.
It really is special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually all just participated in a downsizing information session here in the local Berwick and Parksville. And on that topic, I thought maybe we could talk a little bit more about some of the clients that you see come across your desk who are looking to downsize in retirement.
So if we think about that, like, can you share some examples of people coming from larger homes, you know, in the Vancouver area, Alberta, or elsewhere, and you know what it looks like for them to choose to downsize here?
Generally speaking, moving from anywhere to here is going to be a downsize.
Yeah.
Because we have
Right.
an older demographic, the houses that were built here are smaller houses. We have more 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom ranchers than any other market, probably in Canada, quite frankly. So first of all, if you're moving from Alberta or Vancouver, there's a good chance you're downsizing, unless you're going into the Fairwinds community, which has larger homes. So you're going to start off by downsizing. And the tips to making that happen is really to start thinking about it well in advance so that you can declutter and make sure that you're only bringing the things that you need.
Right.
I have to admit, I have noticed that because I'm actually looking in the area right now, and I've noticed there's not a lot of basements over here, which there's very limited on the island to begin with.
Yeah.
But it definitely ranchers, it is designed for that retirement lifestyle, right?
Absolutely. We also have our groundwater is really high, so that's why we don't have basements, because they'd all flood.
Oh,
Good to know. So I will definitely make note of that when I'm being
Not
shown
all
the
of them,
basement.
but just generally speaking, there's a lot of water underneath us because we're so close to the ocean.
So for those clients that are moving from a different location, Vancouver, Victoria, or as Melissa mentioned, maybe Alberta, they're freeing up a lot of equity when they sell their properties. Generally, they're selling, million plus homes and having access to additional cash when they move. How do you see them using that cash when they come and look at buying property here? Are they spending their full budget, or is there cash left over? What do you see?
I think it's a bit of both. There's usually some cash left over. Oftentimes, people really want to make a house their own, so they spend some of that extra money doing the renovations that they always wanted to do in their previous house, but
Right.
they couldn't afford to do it. So they're putting some of the money back into the home. A lot of them are saving it for retirement, also for travel and trips. And the other thing I'm seeing a lot lately is that parents are giving that extra money to their kids to help them get into the marketplace.
Yeah, we see
Right,
that
right.
quite a bit in what we do as well. I mean, we're often having conversations around that extra equity and doing plans around, do they have the cash to give the kids? And that's something that's really important to look at, because in theory, it's nice to give that to them, but we also have to understand there's care costs and like you said, lifestyle needs, right, of traveling
Yeah.
and things that we need to consider as well, or maybe replacing that roof or whatever's
exactly.
coming on that house, right?
I think gifting is a super great idea as long as you're not putting your own self into a detriment later on
Yeah,
because you decided to gift when you did. So
Yeah.
we do a lot of that.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, so when we think about downsizing and misconceptions, what do you think are the biggest misconceptions when people start looking at the Oceanside homes? Do you think it's the price or the features or the size?
Yeah, it's the price, it's the features. You really want to make sure that you know your numbers. So let's say you wanted to downsize to a townhouse, and that townhouse has access to pools and tennis courts and all sorts of other activities. But the strata fees are $800 a
Right.
month.
Right.
And the property taxes are around $6,000 a year. So you have to take that into your monthly cost, and you could be somewhere around $1,200 a month before you even turn the lights on. So it's something that I really want people to be aware of if they're downsizing, to really know what is your monthly cost going to look like? Like, what at the end of the day, how much money are you going to have left over to do all the fun things that you want to do? So it's a bit around price and costs. And it's also, like I said earlier, our houses are small here, just generally speaking. And so I talk to a lot of people and they say, okay, yeah, but like about 2,500 square feet. You say, oh, well, there's not a lot available, right? There just simply isn't.
So I'm curious about this. So when you're talking to people about like the costs, the things that they need to expect, do you sort of run a budget sheet with them to, like, when you're first starting the conversation, when you're starting to look for things, like run a budget in terms of what can they afford, or have they done a budget to show you? Like, how do you prepare them for?
So we do a net sheet, first of all. So I sit down with people and I have an Excel spreadsheet, and we go sale price plus the property transfer tax plus any municipal costs, et cetera. So that's the first thing that we do. And if people need a mortgage, which is really interesting in this marketplace, a lot of people don't need a mortgage. If they need a mortgage, we want to make sure that their monthly note is something that is really comfortable for them, because you don't want your funds to be overstretched, right?
Right.
So
Right.
yes, the very first thing we always do is talk about a budget, because people think they often think they can afford less than they think they can afford more than they can, which I find really interesting.
They often think they could afford less,
Yeah.
more than they would
Yeah.
even think they could afford more. That's
That's
interesting.
right. Yeah.
Well, I think we actually did a generational podcast a little while ago, which we'll be releasing soon, but that we definitely heard that mindset
Yeah.
come through a lot, right?
Yeah.
So, people wanting to do less
Yeah.
and make sure their cash flow was quite low,
Yes.
quite high, and they
Yeah.
would spend less
Yeah.
to make sure that they plan for those what ifs, right? Because they were kind of living in some of those ages of scarcity.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you talked a little bit more about how you kind of prepare people technically, right? Like you're looking at the number side of things. How do you see people who are thinking about downsizing maybe from their family home on the emotional side? Do you find that people become particularly attached to their property if you're selling maybe a larger home and they're maybe moving into a condo or a townhome or retirement residence? Is there an emotional side to that you help them through?
Yeah, of course there is. And I don't think that people can really verbalize it. It's a feeling, right? And
Right.
so it makes the process of selling and buying a new home even harder, because you are tied up in that home. You're grandkid took their first steps there, or you have all these happy, beautiful memories. And what I really try to help my clients focus on is the end result, which is, you're not going to spend the whole weekend gardening anymore. You don't have to vacuum those bedrooms that you're not using anymore. You really have an opportunity to have long lunches with your friends, go on trips, go be more immersed in the community. So we just really focus on what the positive is, while also really honoring the fact that there are big, beautiful memories in these houses. For all of my clients, seller clients, I do a little photo book for them.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so they have all the professional photos in one little book, and they can kind of tuck it away and show it to their kids or their grandkids. So yeah,
That's
Oh,
awesome.
I love that.
All right, so let's segue into talking about dream homes versus practical homes. So
Yes.
we have some questions just to see what
Yes.
that looks like for what people are,
Yeah.
when they're considering downsizing or moving. When you did talk about this a little bit earlier about how people are doing renovations
Yeah.
that they never could afford to do before.
Yeah.
We have some questions about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll even throw myself into that. So
Okay.
we were starting to look at properties out of curiosity, and of course we think, okay, we're moving from Victoria. What's it like? We want to get on the ocean, right? Because we're moving up island.
Yeah.
Is that feasible, right? So I hear that a lot from people who are looking to move up island in retirement and things
Yeah.
like that. They say, okay, I want to get closer proximity to the water.
Yeah, it's really expensive to have oceanfront or water view homes because it's really high in demand, and we don't have a lot of it, right? If you
Right.
look at the topography of Parksville, Qualicum Beach, it's not super hilly or all the rest of that, right? So we don't have some of the things that Nanaimo would have because of the way that the geography is, but we have access to the ocean, right? I live about a 5-minute walk to the beach, and I'm in Qualicum. Lots of people have access to the beach. It's just not so much the view, but it's the first thing people always say. And I want an ocean view. And I
Yeah.
think, well, we don't actually have a lot of ocean view houses. So I don't like people to pigeonhole themselves into that because you still have all the other great amenities of Qualicum and still have the beach lifestyle.
What are some of the common dream properties apart from ocean view that you kind of hear? Is there any other particular qualities that people are looking for?
Yeah, people are looking for a low maintenance lifestyle.
Right.
Really, even before they're downsizing, they want something that they can grow old into, that they don't have to do 2 more moves. So definitely they're looking for easy care yards, smaller footprint houses. They do want something a little bit nicer, right? They want something that's either renovated or something that can be renovated. And they're also really looking for the area, right? Because everybody has a different area that they really are attracted to. And so I always recommend my clients drive around, like really drive around, go to sort of San Perial, go to Qualicum, go to the different areas in Qualicum, go to the different areas in Parksville, and get out of your car and walk around, talk to the neighbors. Where feels like home to you? And then we can find you a home in that area.
I love that.
That's super advice.
Yeah.
Like the getting out of your car and talking to
Yeah.
people. I think that's great for people who don't like talking to people.
Yeah.
Like if you're moving to a new place and you need to make some friends, it's a great way to start and
Yeah.
sort of figure out what for people that might be difficult for, you would be able to tell right away if
Yeah.
there is a spot that was more comfortable for them to start up a conversation.
Yeah, and I mean, do they want to be able to walk to town? Do they care about that?
Right.
Is access to trails more important to them, right? Everybody has a different need that really drives them. And so I urge them to take the time to see what feels best.
That actually segues really nicely into my next question, sort of about weighing the lifestyle appeal when people are sort of moving and what you do to help them with that. You sort of answered a lot of that, but let's talk a bit about practical considerations like healthcare or, well, you mentioned low maintenance living, proximity to the grocery stores, or even resale value later on.
I mean, everybody has their own needs. You really have to sit down and talk to people. It's probably similar to what you guys are doing. I often think, so I'll give myself an example. I am constantly trying to sell my house because I think that I want to live in a smaller house. I want to live in a really small house and walk to town, but I have 200-pound dogs.
Oh, wow.
So where am I going to go that's smaller with 200-pound dogs?
Wow.
So that's me discovering my own needs. So I really talk to people about what their lifestyle is. Like, really, you can't live in a 1,000-square-foot apartment with giant dogs and 2 kids and all the rest of it, right? So let's just get really practical. What does your family look like? What does your day-to-day look like? What do your finances look like? And then we can create sort of a dream home that suits your lifestyle.
What about for those people who, you know, they have their wish list, right? We all have
Yeah.
our wish list. Like me, I need a massive house that's private in the woods with an ocean view, but yet I can walk to a restaurant.
Yeah.
Really tall list, right? Probably
Under $1 million, right?
Oh, well, okay, maybe not under $1 million.
Okay.
I have a little bit of reality.
Okay,
check
good. Oh, great.
That someone's given me recently.
Yes.
So I have this tall order wish list.
Mm-hmm.
You know, something's got to give, right? So how do you have those conversations with clients?
So there's something about real estate that I've heard from another podcast, which is your vibe attracts your tribe. So the
Love
people,
that, by the way.
So the people who I work with are very practical, pragmatic people. So we're not really dream home. We're all about the nuts and bolts of it. So generally speaking, for me, from my experience, the people that I'm working with, they're really thinking the same thing. Is this going to work for my lifestyle? Is this what I really, really want? They're not sort of grandiose in their thinking. They've done a lot of research as well. So I'm probably not the best person to talk to about that.
Well, that's fair. That's a fair response. That's a fair response for sure.
So what advice do you give your buyers about their Oceanside purchase, not just as, you know, sort of their final home or their downsized home, but also as a long-term investment?
Yeah.
Do you have those conversations with people?
Absolutely. Generally speaking, if you were to buy a home and put some money into it, it might not sell for what you've put into it in the first couple of years. But if you hang on to it for 7 years, there is an opportunity to make some tax-free money on the sale of your home. Generally speaking, the Oceanside real estate market, it goes up for 7 years, it stays flat for 7 years, it goes up for 7 years, and it's flat for 7 years. So currently right now, we're in the middle of the flat. Right? So if you're buying right now and you want to turn around and sell it, there's a chance that you're not going to make any money. But if you hang on to it, definitely there's, as I said, some real tax-free capital there.
And I guess that's where it comes down to, you know, the advice on what the premise of buying the home is for,
That's right.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, we've done this ourselves with my husband. Is, you know, we put renovations in. You know, he's renovated things. That's kind of his business.
Yeah.
So you have to just be realistic as to what you're doing, right? And selective.
That's right.
It might not make sense to put in a $100,000 kitchen in a house that you bought for $800,000, right? You're probably not going to get your return of capital on that.
Absolutely. And realtors, that's what we're good at. And honestly, we love talking to people. We love coming to their houses, and we do all of that for free in a way that we can start building relationships with people. Like, I didn't say this at the beginning, but that is the greatest part about being realtors. I'm involved in people's big decisions, and I get to be part of their, not family, but I'm sort of on the outskirts, and that's the thing that really drives me to getting to work every day, is to being able to serve these people and serve my clients. The thing though is just call a realtor, say, should I put $100,000 into my backyard, or should I put $100,000 into my kitchen, or should I mix it up? We know what buyers are looking for, so just call us.
I love that, right? And you can give comparables on the area
exactly.
and what comparable houses are selling for. So it's that's super helpful.
That's not anything I've ever thought about. I don't do a lot of renovations to my home. But I know that in our industry, if somebody suddenly says, hey, I have $100,000, what should I do with it? We're like, call us. We're going to help you figure this out.
Well, exactly.
So I never thought that it would be the same thing for real estate in terms of I have $100,000, should I do my kitchen or my bathroom, right? Like that's kind of cool.
I just had like a light bulb moment, because if you want to compare to what we do here, like we often say, if you have $100,000, what type of accounts are we structuring this in for your most tax efficiency, and what's going to fulfill the most of your goals and what you're looking to achieve? And it's actually, you know, we could say, hey, we're putting it in your bathroom when you know, that might be, you know, an RSP, for example. Like, there's parallels there, right? So I think that's really neat.
Yeah, and we love to do it, right? So call your local realtor or your friend of a friend who's a realtor. We have the information, we have the data.
Or I'm going to plug Melissa Tracey.
Oh yeah, or call me. It's fine. Do call me.
That's awesome.
So, one of the things that we really pride ourselves in our business is we work with a lot of women investors and trying to raise awareness around financial literacy, because traditionally women have often taken the back seat when it comes to making financial decisions historically.
Yes.
When it comes to buying homes, maybe it was something that a lot of males did a lot of the decision making there. Do you have a lot of women clients who you've helped through this process? Maybe they're widowed, maybe they're single. What's been your experience with that?
Yeah, I work with some of the smartest, strongest women you'd ever meet. So I've been very lucky. I have a large clientele of women. The thing that I often say is it depends obviously in what purchasing decision. Are they moving up or are they moving down? If you're moving down, the most important thing is what are you going to get for the sale of your house, right? Moving is already hard, but when you're downsizing and you're trying to capitalize on every last dollar, there's a possibility that move is going to be even harder, because you may have to sell your house, you may have to rent for a little bit until you find the next house that meets your needs. Usually in the real estate process, you can do a subject to sale, and you can still do that in this marketplace. But if you want to make sure that you land somewhere that you really love, you may have to be uncomfortable for a little while between the sale of your house and the purchase of a new one. So it's something that I really talk to people about, because I want them to get prepared for the fact that it might not be as easy as past transactions.
You just answered my next question.
Good.
So the question was, what practical steps or checklists do you walk them through to avoid these surprises? But I think we've sort of answered that the whole way through. And and I was just going to say what I find surprising about what you just said is the acknowledgement that there might be some time of discomfort, but it's okay. You're moving through it because there will be something that you're happy with on the other end.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly.
I was just thinking, like, on the women's side of things, just to kind of elaborate on that a little bit further, is there, you talked about being uncomfortable with displacement, if that's the situation that arises, but are there other challenges that are unique to women that you've seen when you're working with strictly women clientele?
I think they would. A lot of women want to make sure that they have space for their family, right?
Okay.
So they don't want to downsize to a 1-bedroom condo, whereas a single man might want to do that. And that's not necessarily true either, right? It really just depends on the person. I don't see a huge difference. One thing I'm seeing both men and women, but I think more so with women, is that we often work for ourselves. So our ability to get a mortgage is harder.
I guess any self-employed person,
That's right.
It's one of those things, and where it does take a 2 years worth of income. And we actually often coach people on that all the time. Is when you're self-employed, you say, well, I want to keep my taxes low, right? I want to have certain write-offs and things like that. But when you're planning on buying a home, we have to be cognizant of the fact that we also need to qualify for a mortgage potentially.
That's right.
So that's something that you should consider when you're paying yourself wages as well.
Yeah, and it's especially important because the mortgage rules have changed so dramatically over the last 5 to 10 years. You used to be able to use your asset base to borrow money, but the lenders don't look at it as much anymore. And so people find it really surprising. They say, like, I have $300,000 or I have this and I can't qualify for a mortgage. And it really is about what the income that you're bringing in is. And now I have to ask you guys a question. So if I was to downsize, right, are you able to put money into something for me that would show me making an income so that I could qualify for a mortgage?
Well, you know what, we do get this question because people will come to us and say, hey, can you show me an income stream or give me a letter or something that I could bring to my lender to sort of highlight how long this income stream would last. Yeah. So yes, we do offer that if it's something that's really required.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, we often would have to show a comprehensive financial plan, right?
Yeah.
So we have to be able to vouch and say, okay, this is going to last the lifetime of the mortgage, right?
Okay.
We can't say that you're going to take $300,000 and you're going to live off $100,000 annually for 3 years and still be able to afford this mortgage.
Right.
It has to be sustainable over the life of the mortgage, right?
Okay.
But yeah, that is, like to Melissa's point, that is exactly what we do. We've had some complications, like I'm going to speak on the cross-border side.
Okay.
With that, for clients who have moved up from the States to Canada, due to money laundering rules and things like that, lenders will decline income projection from somebody like myself because they need money on this side of the border for periods of time prior to being used. So do keep that in mind for our listeners if that's the route you're trying to go, if you're moving from the States to Canada.
Okay. Interesting.
So I'm just thinking, when it comes to families moving to the Oceanside community, is there particular areas that you see younger families with children moving to?
Yes. So a lot of families move into San Perial, which is just beside Rathtrevor Beach. We also see a lot of families in Maple Glen, which feeds into the Springwood Elementary School. In Qualicum, we see people in the Qualicum Woods area. That feeds into
cool.
it feeds into Arrowview Elementary School. There's a few families in Eagle Crest, but I would say they're more on the other side of the highway. And then there's also the Canyon Crescent area of Qualicum Beach that is walking distance to the elementary school, Qualicum Beach Elementary School. So we see a lot of families moving into there. And that's pretty new too, because that used to be a middle school and the elementary school changed over about, 10 years ago. So we're starting to see a lot more kids in that area as well.
So you are seeing a little bit of an uptick in families here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we bought our house 15 years ago, my daughter was the only one on the street, and now half of the houses on the street have kids in them. And we saw that a lot, of course, during COVID, when people were able to see that they could work from home and they didn't have to have this huge mortgage in Vancouver. They could come and live over here and really be able to live a better lifestyle and not be in the car as much in traffic, et cetera. And spend more time with their kids.
Yeah, I could appreciate that for sure.
I have a funny story just about that.
Yeah.
When I first moved back to Nanaimo from further up island, I remember talking with my cousin who lives on the mainland, and there was a promotion that had come up, and I declined it because I didn't want to drive all the way back up island every single day for this promotion. And my cousin at the time, she took a bus, a SkyTrain, and a bus to get to work every day. And she was like, "What are you doing? Like, you just drive." And I was like, that's not why I live here. I don't live here to drive for 45 minutes every day to go to work.
Totally.
Right? So it was such an interesting mindset. She did not understand, but it worked well for me. So.
Well, I can barely understand the traffic going over the Orange Bridge right now because they're putting a light at Columbia Beach, and you think it's only 15 minutes. Like, what is your problem? And it's only going to be temporary.
We have some clients that live in San Francisco, and it's like a 3-hour commute to work one way. And I sit there and say, that's a lot of podcasts and audiobooks for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, Melissa, for being here with us today. And for anybody who's listening today and who's considering moving to the Oceanside community for their next chapter, what's one piece of realtor advice that you would give them?
Call a realtor. Seriously. We have some of the greatest realtors in the area, quite frankly. Like, I work with some of the best people you will ever meet. We can really help guide you through these decisions. With the internet, people are, looking at homes online and they're sort of almost getting ahead of themselves. This is what we do every day. We buy and sell homes every day, and we want to help. So reach out to a family or friend that lives over here and get a recommendation for a realtor. Call me, but definitely get in touch and let us help you through the process as early as possible. It will make your life so much easier.
So if people did want to reach out to you directly,
Yeah.
what's the best way they can do that?
Just phone me. I mean, you can text me as well, but I'm always driving. So I tell people to just pick up the phone and call me. And then I will set up either a consultation, if it's a buyer consultation or a seller consultation. I am the queen of the checklist, though. I have a checklist for everything, getting ready for photos,
Love that.
getting ready
That's
for showings,
fantastic.
getting ready for your open house. I have them all. I have them laminated. When you're selling your house, I put a little kit together with, Mr. Wipes and chocolate bars and things like that. So I am the checklist queen.
That's awesome.
And not just me, but other realtors in the area. We have systems to make this easier for you. So definitely give me a call, and I'd love to help you.
We'll make sure to link her and everywhere you can find Melissa in our description.
Thank you. I am very active on Instagram. It's my favorite place. So if you want to follow me at the Oceanside Life.
Love it.
Awesome. Okay.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for watching
And listening.
to Money Talks Life Listens, and a big thank you to Melissa Tracey for coming on our podcast and sharing all of her realtor insights today.
As Melissa noted, there are a lot of realtors in the Oceanside community. So if you're thinking about buying or selling or moving over to the island into the Oceanside community, please feel free to reach out to a realtor of your choice to start the process.
And for all things Money Talks Life Listens, please visit our website, islewealth.ca, or you can follow us on Spotify or YouTube.
It's been a lot of fun today.
It really has. Bye for now.
Corporate disclaimer. This podcast has been prepared by and with expressed opinions of Joanne Cabin and Melissa McGuire, and are not necessarily the opinions of Raymond James Ltd., RJL. Statistics, data, and other information presented are from sources RJL believes to be reliable, but their accuracy cannot be guaranteed. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not to be construed as an offer or solicitation for the sale or purchase of securities. Investors considering any investment should consult their investment advisor to ensure that it is suitable for the investor's circumstances and risk tolerance before making an investment decision. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. The information provided in this podcast is general in nature and should not be construed as providing legal, accounting, and/or tax advice. Should viewers have any specific questions and/or issues in these areas, please consult a legal, tax, and/or accounting advisor. RJL is a member of the Canadian Investor Protection Fund. Raymond James USA Ltd. advisors may only conduct business with residents of the states and/or jurisdictions in which they are properly registered. Raymond James USA Limited is a member of FINRA and SIPC. We hope you enjoyed the podcast, and for more information, please visit islewealth.ca.